We are going to get started with our Legends panel first. First up, our very own chairman of the board, massive UN fan, and a key player to the construction and development of the building you guys are in today. He was behind every detail, every contract, every conversation. He is just an amazing player for our association. So welcome, Gus Fonte. So if you can sit underneath your face in order, I'm gonna call you in order, so just sit in the row. Up next, we have the queen of the Redlands, who has extensive knowledge in farms, equestrian facilities, single-family homes, nurseries, even commercial properties. Please welcome Nancy O'Brien. No, please, be wild. Let it loose. Next, we have someone who brings the thunder from down under. Born and raised in Adelaide, Australia, but now a Miami Beach resident for 20 years and consistently in the top 1% of the nation's top brokers. Please welcome Julian Johnston. And finally, we have another professional who has been in the top 1% of realtors for over 30 years. She ran the #1 KW team from 2016 through 2018. She's a certified coach and instructor. Please welcome Georgie Clark. You all have microphones on your seats, and there's water for you if you need it. All right, so let's have a little fun. Let's get to know you. I want you to tell me about yourself, if you're solo, if you're a team, if you're a broker, and what makes you great in 2 minutes or less.
We're going to start at that end, right?
With you.
So my name is Gus Fonte. I am primarily an industrial developer, investor, rehab in the markets in and around wherever you have industrial properties. I do have a business partner that I develop with. This is my 38th year in the business, which is a very long time. What makes me successful is tenacity and learning knowledge, having knowledge of my market, and also giving of your time to back into our industry, which I find to be very important and satisfying personally and professionally.
Thank you.
And I'm wearing a tie.
We're gonna go down the line on this one. So Nancy, you can go next.
I work by myself. I got my party over there, Sarah, my manager Tony, and Annie. I'm Sarah. I don't think I need that. You're pretty loud.
Right? No, you need it.
Okay, so I'm by myself. I specialize in the Redland. I love what I do. That's just the bottom line. I targeted an area that I was comfortable in. I really focused and I just kept to myself. I didn't want to be part of a team. You know, I didn't want to be responsible for anybody else. I just wanted to just do my own thing and surround myself with people that love me and that support me. And that was the most important thing, the loyalty to me. You know, and I wouldn't have done anything different, and I'm real happy. I don't do anything other than real estate. That's it. Did I hit all the bases, or did I miss anything?
Yeah, so you said you're not in a team, but you said you have a support system. So
Sarah.
you have
There's Sarah.
so you do have a team. She's your right hand.
She's my assistant.
Exactly.
But she's more than that, and that's so important to have that one person behind you.
That's why I highlight.
Questions. I thought it would make me nervous. I'm out of my element. Yeah.
Good day. So it's a bit loud, my hold on here. So if you haven't figured out already from my accent, I'm Australian. And when I started in real estate, everyone's like, you know, I came here, you don't need, everyone's from everywhere, you don't need to be here. Although some of the brokers that have been here a long time, like the Jules, they went to high school, yeah, they have inherent clients, but you can start fresh and still be a top realtor. Right, so I have both a vertical and horizontal team. So the vertical team is my support staff, and they're not on commission, they're strictly on salary. So they're not worried about whether I'm cutting deals, doing deals, if I have to cut a commission or how it affects them. So they're really focused on just doing what they need to do to support me. So I don't have to consult with them on deals or cutting commissions or how much I'm working or anything, because I'm working hard anyway. And then I have a horizontal team, which some teams, they'll bring on agents in different areas or in that area, and I'll take a little bit of everything they do. I'm not like that. I'm a big believer in you eat what you kill. So if you go out there and do business without me on my team, keep it. If you need me, bring me in, and to the extent that I get involved, we'll take a split. So I was able to grow my business that way, because in some peripheral areas where it's hard to travel, I brought on more agents, and I have about 10 agents that will call me sometimes. I just listed one yesterday for $40 million in Coconut Grove. That agent on my team probably would not have got that listing if I hadn't gone in with him and spoke in depth. So teams can help a lot, and also I like the camaraderie. I like working with people. It makes it more fun.
So, Georgie? Yeah, hi everybody. My name is George A. Cluck, and I have been in the business for 35 years, so I guess I am a legend in a lot of ways. So what makes us great? I have a small team right now. I've had big teams, and I've had small teams. And I'd say what makes us great is our mindset and our heart. We all share a very common value system that's built on an acronym of growth. And that acronym stands for grit, results, only leaders, wealth, teamwork, and humility. And we believe that we approach our customers from a very consultative approach, helping them to acquire wealth through real estate. So we work a little bit different than a lot of teams. We're all about building big businesses. And we have the luxury of being partners with an organization called Place. And if you've never heard of Place, it's a new, groundbreaking tech platform that leverages top producing agents so that they can work smarter and they can grow faster, making fewer mistakes. And I'm very honored to be with that organization. If you're interested and that sounds like you, come talk to me.
Thank you. So there's no one size fits all. I like what Julian said. I'm just going to interject about that horizontal team. So pretty much you just walk in the door with an agent, they get the listing, I just want to ask and clarify that.
So to clarify that, the horizontal team are agents that work and they're just on commission. The vertical are on salary, so they don't get, but the horizontal team are agents that will bring deals or we collaborate. And sometimes I might take a listing, which is, I took one in South Miami, which is really difficult to drive to with current traffic issues, like 45 minutes. And it's a long story, I'm making it very short. The listing expired for 3.6 million. They had 55 calls. I thought, oh, I'm pretty good. I got a call back. I get an interview. That couple interviewed all 55 people that called. And I think that the agents that are on commission, they'll keep calling and they do, and I coach them. They have a script. They have their own style. But yeah, they brought in other listings in Fort Lauderdale. Just recently, I'm picking up a $25 million listing there. I mean, I'm selling $300-400 million a year. Majority of it I do myself, but I probably do about 20% with agents on my team, and we collaborate.
Thank you. So I would like to speak to the fresh agent. What's one thing you wish you knew going in that you know now? And Nancy, we'll start with you. One thing you wish you knew going in that you know now.
You know, can you all hear me without this mic? Yes. You need the mic?
We need it back here.
You know, I didn't realize it was going to encompass my entire life. To be successful in real estate, it's a 7-day gig. It really is. And I don't think I understood that. I thought I was going to go in, you know, have a little lunch, deal with people that I liked. But I fell in love with it. And it was the very best thing I ever did with my life. I don't regret a minute of it. But I wish I would have known that. I wish I would have taken some business classes to figure out what to do with my money. Not the smartest cookie in the box, you know what I mean? I can sell ice cubes to Eskimos. But other than that, I wish I would have taken some business classes. That's pretty much about it.
That's good. I like that. Gus.
So I have a different approach. Because I primarily, not primarily, that's all I do is commercial properties, industrial for the most part. That is a business that is 5 days a week, 8 in the morning till 5 o'clock, and then it shuts down. So it gives me the freedom. And I found out early that I was not good at working on weekends. I needed my time. And so I kind of focus into that area. If I could go back in time and tell my young self something, it would have been to start investing earlier, because I primarily brokered for about 16 years of my career, and it was a great living. You know, I was a YPN when they didn't have YPNs back then, making a very, very good living, but I was also living a very good existence. And then, you know, you come to a realization, okay, wait a minute, wow, I've got a lot of memories, but I need to start looking at phase 2. And that's when I kind of flipped into ownership and development. If you don't have, the hardest step is to buy that first investment property, because you're going into the unknown. So risk it, do it, because I would have done that earlier. And those that know me, if things were different, where would I be? I would be in Italy right now. So 2 years before I get there. So that would be what I would tell my younger self.
Well, then you wouldn't have built this building. So thank you for not going to Italy just yet. Georgie.
Well, I got in this business because I wanted to make my own schedule and I wanted to be my own boss. So I didn't expect to be successful. And I ended up being successful pretty fast. So if I had it to do all over again, I would have studied those that were really successful in this industry and the systems and models that made them successful, because the systems and models make the ordinary extraordinary. And that's how you get your time back. You get your time back by following great systems, having great models, and being structured. And you can do this business in a 5-day week if you do it right. So I would have studied that from the very beginning. What happened is I ended up making more money than I thought I would. Then I had to go backwards in order to go forwards. So study those that have done it right.
Julian?
I think focus is definitely the issue. I have a business degree in property, so I was involved in a lot of things in the background. That was in Australia. When I initially started real estate here, like everyone else, I was scrambling to get off the ground, make money, pay bills at the same time. So I was doing rentals, I was doing commercial, strip malls. I sold the Plymouth Hotel for $20 million, and I didn't even do real commercial. I was doing everything, and too wide a geographic area. But I didn't get experience until I sort of found that I liked really doing residential. And then even in residential, I found that anyone could sell condos because they're a commodity, they're very comparable. And so I found a niche in single family homes. And then I got involved with a few developers, and I really took the time to go to the city, learn all the building rules, so that I became like an expert. And so I knew as much as a GC and an architect. So when buyers would meet me and we'd drive around and they'd say stuff, I'm like, no, it's not correct, it's this, this, and this. They go, one client famously said, I'll bet you $5,000 you're wrong. I said, call your architect right now. Then on the phone, yeah, Julian's right, $5,000. So like you want to become an expert in whatever you're doing, and you always do well and you'll enjoy it.
So we sum it. We should invest earlier, we should take business classes, we should niche down, and we should follow systems and emulate top producers. Fantastic. All right, so this is 1 to 2 minutes. Let's try. This is hard, because I want you to walk me through an average day. If you have a schedule, and if there's one thing that you must do every single day. I'll start with Julian. You're looking at me.
So, as I got a bigger team, my biggest problem was learning to delegate, because I'd like to do it. my team are like crazy doing stuff. I'm like, you forget, everything you do, I used to do by myself. I used to work really long hours. And then as I learned to delegate and let things go, you know, as an example, on my street sign, I had to take my phone number off. I had to let go of that and have someone else answer for me. And then I have there's emails and offers coming in, I had to rely on someone else and trust them they're going to send things forward. So delegation allowed me to grow. So one thing I really need to do every day is I go through my emails at the end of the day because I miss a lot of things by text messages. So when I'm getting messages all day long, I just copy paste to email. And at the end of the day, I go through every single email to at least, if it's too late, at least I reply. That's every day.
So did you say you convert all your text messages into emails?
I get over 300 to 400 text messages a day. If you try to screen back through them, and then my assistant will complain, well, we didn't read the top part, because then they start replying backwards and forwards. You not just have to look at it, you have to go up and then track what's going on. So I reply, email me, because then there's people on my email chain, and also I can't forward text messages. So I convert it, I tell them this is the email, I send the message back to them, and I say, then I copy my whole team, and so everyone's aware. So I started missing a lot of deals. Like, a client of mine bought something for 10 million, and he's like, I was trying to work with you, but you just missed this section. I was like, okay, I'd rather hire someone for 75,000, 80,000 a year to help me manage that inflow, because when there's too much information coming in, you have to let some of it go. And so I'll tell one quick story. I met a woman 10 years ago. She sells 800 houses a year. I was like, how the hell do you do that? She goes, I don't answer my email, I don't answer my phone, I don't send out the marketing, She didn't do anything. All she did was operate the whole team to do the marketing, and then she taught me about inside sales, which is another tactic that I took on that most top brokers don't do. But there's things you can learn. So the bigger you get, you need to learn to delegate. Even if you can't really quite afford someone, you can, because it will very quickly come back to you.
Thank you. Georgie? Sure. So I'm sure you guys have heard the comment, in structure there's freedom, and clarity is power, correct? So we are a very structured team. We've set our goals every year. We determine the systems and the models that are going to take us there, and the actions that are going to get us to our goal. So every morning starts off with a power up. Then we go into script practice. We spend our mornings calling past clients and fostering new relationships and lead gen. And our afternoons are dedicated to previewing properties, writing contracts, studying our market and education. So we really have a very structured way. It's a lot different than what some people like to function, but it works. And I personally do nothing but teach and run the team. I do very little production anymore. I used to do a lot of production, but I backed way out, and now I just foster and train and grow people.
So, I'm sorry, I'd like to bring more out, but how do you handle if somebody wants to throw a loophole and they want you to show properties in your script hours? What do you do?
I tell them I have another appointment, and that's not really going to work for me at that time. This is the thing, I don't show any of my properties unless you have a pre-qual letter and I ask enough questions to know whether or not you've done a consultation with your buyer. My time is valuable, and you need to know your inventory and you need to know your buyer in order to show my property. Otherwise, you can come to an open house or you can piggyback on another showing.
Okay, boss, I like it. Nancy?
Okay, so the question was, what is a typical day?
A typical day and what you must do each day.
I treat it like a job. So a typical day is Monday through Friday, whether you have something to do there or not. I go to the office. I always like to start there. I'm really old school, so I return my phone calls with a phone call. I follow up on, I double check, did I miss anything for the day? I, go back and make sure, because I think one-to-one contact is so terribly important for my customer base. I can read their energy. I'm not reading a text. So I just, I make a point of following up. Obviously the emails and all that stuff is a normal thing. So I just like to have phone calls. Even if I've got nothing to do, I'll call somebody just to chit chat. You know what I mean? Just to keep in contact. What are you doing? What's going on? And it always turns into money somehow. Even if I've got nothing going on, if I put myself in the right element, it always turns into something formative. You know, I mean, that's what you have to do. You have to engage with your customers. And if you focus, well, I focus on a specific target market, it makes it really easy. Do you know what I mean? You get involved with the community. So my typical day is, Sarah's in the office before me. She's already checked all the emails. She'll print out what I have to deal with right away. I check my texts, and I hate texts, but I check them, return all the, and I don't text back. I pick up the phone and call them back. And I think that's the most important thing, is to have that one-on-one communication with everybody. You want to be something more than a typewritten note. Does that make sense to everybody? Absolutely. That's what works for me. And believe me, like Georgie said, I couldn't believe I made $1. I mean, honestly, the biggest shock to me was that I was successful. I got I'm the queen of bullshit. And all of a sudden, I'm making money, and it's rolling in hand over fist. And like you said, I wish I knew how to invest early. I was scared. You know what I mean? And he was smart. He says, I'm not working Saturday and Sunday. Commercial, what a great move. You know, I did residential, but that's my customer base. I like the old broads, you know what I mean? I get along with them. So I think it's important to put yourself in an element that you're comfortable in. Never change who you are. Make that part of your daily life. Like they said, for God's sakes, don't wear your blue jeans. I said, oh, come on. So, I mean, as you can say, I dress for the occasion. But normally, I am who I am, and I think that's so important. That's my typical day.
Yeah,
I
authenticity.
was about to say, I don't know her, but she comes straight away as genuine. And that's why she's successful.
I think that's why it comes across so well. There's so many people, a good buyer, we can smell a good buyer, right? On the phone, man, we've got them vetted. They don't even have to come in the office. Really, we know, don't you? If they're good, my ass is in the car, and I am, go get the coat. I'll see you in 30 minutes. Oh, yeah.
Love it. Gus, what about you?
I love when I hear YPN say, oh, I'm up at 4 in the morning and I'm at the gym at 5. Hell no. I get up 8 o'clock in the morning, I have my coffee, I read a lot. I read pretty much everything. Wall Street Journal, New York Times, like a lot. I'm in the office by 9-ish, I go through all my emails, I get in my car, I'll go to one of my developments, or one of the buildings that I own. I will park, and how I prospect. I go knock on doors, I talk to the brokers in that area, I'll go see buildings just to know what's in that market. And then probably by 3-ish, 4 o'clock, back in my office, go through my stuff again, out the door 5:30, 6, I'm home, popping a bottle of wine and starting to relax. It's 30, almost 40 years, so it's a little different than when I'm young. When I was younger and I had to do those longer hours, but that doing it like consistently in that manner is what I find still makes me successful and gives me drive. So.
I love that there's no one size fits all. So that's really great, you bringing your perspectives. So I want to get into some great tips for our audience. I want to know the top 2 to 3 sources of your business and how you prospect to that lead source. So 2 to 3 sources and how you actually capture the customers. Julian, you just looking at me all the time.
I think it's learned over time. Like sometimes when I don't get a listing, which I just lost one for 33 million, and I had invested a lot of time with that client, and I asked him, why didn't I get it? Don't be afraid to call and find out what you can do different or better. And I understand the reasons he chose the other agent, for whatever reason, and they were valid reasons. And I go up against the Jills, Dina, Nelson all the time. And when I was starting out, I used to go out against the Jills, so always go for your strengths, which is like, I was in a niche market. But, go back, so what was the question
We want to get leads, and we want to know we want to know what leads are your main source,
So
and
the
how do
part-
we target them?
The part I was getting to is, as I was evolving, I learned it was a little bit of everything. And when I did get listings, I was like, oh, I see you on Zillow, I see Realtor.com, direct mail, especially your target. Like, baby boomers are my target market, 55 to 65. They still read newspapers, they still get their mail, direct mail branding. I mean, I knew I'd made it when a kid came up to me in the grocery store and was like, Dad, it's the guy in the mail, can I get his autograph? So it's a little bit of everything. So, and I was slow to get on board with social media, but my team very wisely, it's much smarter than me, got me on board. And, you know, I started to learn how powerful it was. I sold a $20 million home. He wanted to list it for 19. I put it on Instagram for 20 just for fun, and I sold it in 3 days for 19.5 before the photos were ready. So you never know what's going to happen. No one's effective with the market, but try a little bit of everything and really focus on an area. The leads that I get, probably 30% referrals, 30-40% marketing, which is both constant direct mail, letters, everything to your market. Even your social media should be geographically targeted.
Queen Nancy, tell us, how do you target the redheads?
I talk to everybody. It doesn't make a difference. I help everybody. You know what I mean? I don't care what the deal is. I'm very free with my time. And it's not always about money. When you're buying and selling, it's someone's largest investment they have. This is it. It doesn't get better than this. So you want to give somebody the courtesy and the time that they need, whether they're not buying now. I can't tell you how many people that come back to me and say, 20 years ago, you were so nice to me. That makes a difference. In the old days, I bought a billboard on Chrome Avenue in US 1. Name recognition. Before the internet, I was doing two pages in the Miami Home. Remember that, Tony? And my alligator, I branded myself. I trademarked myself an alligator with party shoes. Have you seen her? Oh, she's cute. And the alligator would say some crap every week. And I did this week after week after week after week. And I didn't have a pot to piss in. I really didn't have any money. But I made sure I did it. It was the best thing I ever did. When I stopped advertising, I had people call me from Miami Beach, all areas. Are you okay? We haven't seen your ads for a while. They started calling me the Queen of the Redland. What, are you kidding me? That's because I focused on a specific area. I'm going to say this over and over again. You can't go everywhere. It shocks me the amount of realtors. I'm coming in from Orlando. Are you nuts? You know, to show a piece of property, for Christ's sakes, give me the referral, I'll show the property. It allows me to do so many things in a day. I can be 20 minutes anywhere. I can deal with 4, 5, 6, 7 people a day, no problem. If I don't like the way they sound on the phone, I make them come to my office. But so prospecting, of course, do I direct mail? Yeah, I mailed 3,500 people out, and I've been doing it for 25 years. And I started with 300, 400, you know, added up. But I never changed my target area. I never changed what I loved, where I live. If you live there, what's the best sales tool you have? You, I'm your neighbor. I mean, and I tell everybody, when I first came here, oh my God, I went home, and this is a true story. I made a terrible mistake. I was mortified. But then 3 weeks later, the bunny's hopping in the backyard. And you sell them. You know, it's like selling sex. Because it's not selling a house or a building, it's selling a lifestyle. And it's so easy, and that's what's shocking. It really is. If you don't know the answer, hey, I'll get back to you on that. People like that. Don't make up shit just because I think I have to know everything. You don't have to know anything. For God's sakes, when I started, I couldn't even use the computer. I was like Parkinson's all over the place. And because I stayed in that one little area, I learned every house on the market. I made my friends go with me. We would go on with the road trips. It was like you were like a jelly bean by the time you got home. We saw every house. And I told every realtor, I'm looking for me. So I was always straight, I was always direct, and to this day, realtors know, she's no bullshit. She's gonna tell you just the way it is. If it's a dog, I'm going to tell you it has fleas, but I'll sell you the fleas. Does that make sense to you all?
Yeah, absolutely. You said direct mail. So you said 3,500 pieces.
Name recognition.
Yeah, but you also mentioned that you send out mailers.
Oh, yeah, I do mailings.
How
I do
often?
Postcards. Oh, once every 45 or 60 days, something like that. And I'm never on time, and I never get them out, and I always change the remarks, and I write my own stuff. So even though the direct mail comes in and says, prove it, oh, it's never gone out with their little letter. I make it about my neighborhood. You know what I mean? I make it what's important to the people that live there. Generic doesn't work. Wherever you are, you got to tailor everything to you. So any kind of ad you want to do, fabulous. Sarah's got me doing media stuff with music, right? Yeah. Apparently I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I wouldn't know how to look this shit up if the life depended on it, but I'm there. So if anybody looks at me funny, the first thing I say is, hi, it's so good to see you. When was the last time I saw you? And I'm hoping they give me an address, because if you give me an address, I can tell you all about them. Other than that, I have no clue.
I'd say on the direct mail, just for you that don't know, you can go at EDDM, it's a USPS service, and you've got your zip code, and then the last 4 is that mailing. So you can go on and target each area, and it'll tell you there's 700 addresses, 400 of this thing. Then you can actually target your farm area directly. And then you might pick a condo building, but it might pull areas also around it that are commercial, and it might be an extra 1,000. So you don't want to send it to that. So I send out 2 to 3, 4 mailers every month, and I spent $360,000 on marketing last year. And so it's consistent. I might slow it down in the summer, and I'd say for those of you starting out, even if you target a certain building, even if you haven't done a sale in the building, you can just put 5 or 6 sales in a building, like an information EDM, and then it's all about branding. I get these flyers, and I just laugh because people don't always remember names immediately, but they remember faces. So you look at my EDM on the back, is a big picture of my face. And so branding consisting like that, they're removing faces. All the top brokers on the beach, I mean, Dora has hibiscus flowers. If you look at the Jills have the tree, everyone has a particular style. I just happen to grow up when I was very young on a farm, so I drive a Raptor and a Ford, and I wear a cowboy hat sometimes. It's a little bit of my shtick, but it's actually genuine to me, though. I like that. So find your genuine stick, and when you target EDDM, don't do it once. Sometimes I'll sell a property outside of my area, I don't do it direct mail, because that one will do nothing. Stay in that area and start sending 1 or 2 a month. And I tend to do listed and then a sold, listed then a sold. Subliminally, they'll start to see list sold, list sold, list sold.
I want to hear Gus's lead generation. You're extremely successful in the commercial sector, so.
I walk, so I'll go to one of the buildings in Hialeah and park. I will go to every Cuban cafeteria, have a pastelito and a cafecito, and talk to the lady that's serving the coffee. What do you hear? What are people telling you? Then I'll walk up and down the street and walk into the buildings and knock. That, for me, is how it is. And Nancy mentioned, you walk an area. I know the area. And the other thing is, I always tell brokers in my market, bring me a deal. I will never eat your food. You can have all the commission, even if it's not your listing. If I buy it, you're gonna get paid. I am looking for myself, but I walk, I go door to door still, and I love it. I mean, you get all hopped up on croquetas and coffee, and you're ready to go. It's a wonderful, and it gives you an understanding from the people on the ground of what's happening. The other last thing I'll say before I shut up is, for industrial property, I love driving, and I said I don't do Saturdays, but I'll wake up on a Saturday morning and go drive an area. Nobody's working. You get to see all the buildings, you get to notice and pick up cues. All the grass is that one, the windows, stuff that you normally would not see when you're in traffic or everything else. And that I've bought several buildings, several really good buildings with those cues that we pick up. You get the address, go home, pull the tax roll, find the owner, find out who it is, and get it done. So those are how I do my networking prospecting for my work, my business.
So relationships. What about you, Georgie, with your team? How do you guys prospect?
Well, our key lead sources are past clients, client referrals, open houses, and, you know, I don't care where you spend your money, the fortune's in the follow-up. You can get leads from any source, but you're gonna convert that lead in about the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th touch, most likely. So spending money is great, but if you don't know how to foster your relationships and just stay in touch with people to say hi and see how they're doing and see if they have any home ownership needs, you're not going to make it as fast. You have to stay on the phone and we call. And I used to spend a lot of money. I got into the business, I didn't have any money, so I didn't spend any money. I did a lot of open houses and I was great. I was tenacious at follow-up. And then I started spending about $80,000 a year on marketing, and I became a household name in Miami Shores. I got involved in my community. I was Chamber of Commerce president. I did everything. I got involved in the schools. I did all of that, and now I don't market anymore. And I still could probably not make a phone call for the next 5 years and do 30 or 40 deals a year, just because people come back to me after 30 or 40 years. But I wouldn't rest on that because I know it's about the relationship, and everyone around here has a real estate license. So if you don't stay in touch, someone else is going to take your spot.
I want to stay with you, and I want to know, what was your aha moment?
Well, that's fun. That was a really good question. Made me think. I would say my first aha moment in my career was when I was making a good living. I was making probably $700,000-800,000 a year. And Gary Keller said, well, Georgie, what do you think you would do if you really were purposeful? If you really put an effort out? And I thought, well, heck, I never dreamt of making $700,000 or $800,000 a year. Are you kidding me? I think this is great. But then when he did that, I said, you know what? He's absolutely right. I've never gotten out of my comfort zone. I've been very fortunate, just worked really hard. I've never been purposeful. And I was 50 years old when I had that conversation. And that was when I started growing. That's when I started developing myself as a person, because your business will grow to the extent that you do. And we will all get to a certain level of achievement by being our natural self. If you want to grow past that, then you're going to have to figure out where it is that you need to grow, and you're going to have to practice becoming a better person. So now that's my life. I do that. I'll grow till the day I die, and I have aha moments every day because I'm constantly learning from others and constantly putting myself out there.
Gus, what was your aha? Okay.
So my aha moment, I had a property that somebody brought me as a broker, still had not made that crossover, and I started analyzing and I said, well, wait a minute. I understand what to do with this. Let me try and buy it and develop it myself. And it was a very coming out of your comfort zone, because it would have been way easier for me just to sell it, get a commission, and off and go. And it took a year to get that deal together. If I'd have sold it, I'd have gotten my check and been out the door. But that kind of confirmed what I always thought, that I could do it, but I just didn't have the courage to cross that line. Once I did that deal, then I would look at everything from that standpoint. Oh, wait, I know how to do this, and go ahead and do it. And I still drive by that property in Hialeah all the time. It's incredible development, and that was 20 some years ago, and it's that to me was the aha moment. From there on, it was like, wow, I know what I'm doing now.
So Nancy, it's like the moment it all comes together, like everything just makes sense. Something clicks, something
I was
shifts.
wondering what you meant by aha.
All right.
I don't think I've ever had one. You know, this was the hardest job I ever had. You know, I was restoring boats, selling flowers before, I turned 40 and decided to actually make real estate a career. I'm 66. And I always knew I was going to sell real estate because I like driving around looking at houses with my boyfriends. Just look at them, just driving by from the outside, not even going in on the inside. And I decided at 40, I thought, what can I do as an old lady? And I can make a few bucks. Real estate, it's a 7-day education, that's a no-brainer. And I started with the Kai's company. I interviewed, I picked the company that I thought was best for me. You know, the guy came out with a sword and was dressed in Halloween gear. I thought, I'm home. You know, it was pretty kickback, and that's kind of like how I operate. And I remember walking in, and there was a chick that worked there, Susan Newman. And I said, oh man, I said, I can't do this. This is the worst job I've ever had in my life. I'm successful at everything. I'm just not any good at this. And she's the one that made me commit to come to the office Monday through Friday. She's the one. I can't take credit for being successful. It was Susan. She says, even if it's 3 hours, just come in. And then it took a few years. The first year, I probably did 20 or 30,000. I worked for a month or two, and that was like the biggest check I ever got in my life, you know. And the next year, I did better. The third year, I'm still not comfortable. Because remember, I'm uncomfortable with the contracts. I'm uncomfortable with everything. You can't get comfortable overnight because what the hell did I know? I mean, I didn't know much about land and soils and this and stuff. So you fake it. You learn. You do your research. Any free time. You want to be knowledgeable, so you take every opportunity to realize, okay, I don't know this, but I'm going to know this by the end of the day. And because my aha moment was when I realized that I was comfortable. And it doesn't happen overnight. You know, every now and then I have to still go back and ask somebody something that, like rentals, oh, freak me out. Do you know I still do rentals? How about that? Because again, that rental will turn into a sale. And you never want to think, oh, that's beneath me. It's not beneath you. Again, it's important. So I guess my aha moment took about 5 years in, 3 to 5 years, something like that, before I realized I was comfortable using the computer. That wasn't so easy. So I guess, yeah, and it was just, I guess that was it. That was it. I don't think I really ever had that aha. I'm still shocked, like she said, that I'm actually any good at this. Aren't you shocked? Really? Come on, let's get into it.
Seriously, I wake up every day with a smile on my face going, they're paying me for this shit.
And you love it. That's the key. It's fun. You can keep it fun. You treat it like a job, but it's not a job. It is a every waking, breathing moment. Like he's driving around construction sites, looking around. I'm always looking around at everything. Aren't you too? Always just checking out what's going on. Not being a busybody, but you know, yeah.
People complain I don't talk about anything else except real estate. So I think it's a series of aha moments throughout your career. Obviously, real estate is very dynamic. So when I started, I found a top producer, and I became his assistant for 6 months. And if you have a really good work ethic, that's halfway to becoming successful anyway. So yeah, I grounded out. And then after about 6 months, I realized, this guy doesn't know more than I do. So like, and he was doing 200 million a year in sales. And so we split apart, and I did 100 million by myself the next year. So I think the aha moment came when I started working with a couple of different clients that we knew. And I was like, oh, this one client didn't want to work with him, not because he was a bad person. People work with you because they like you and they trust you. So you might not get along with everyone, although I'm Australian, so I'm pretty affable, but the client wants to know, to trust you, you have to know the experience. So when you can talk about certain things, which at the time my top producer could, but they didn't really like him for whatever reason, but they like me. Once you have that level of experience in an area, like you can name a building on the beach, I'll tell you who did the appliances, who the developer was, ceiling heights, cabinetry, that level of detail. So when you're driving a client around, I tell you the true test, aha. Sometimes you get buyers that will call you only on your listing. And so you meet them and say, well, do you want to see something else? And they'll candidly say, I'm just going direct because they want to save money or they don't want to do with a buyer's broker. And then in my career, as I got better, I would say, that's fine. And as we were driving, I'd pick them up and we'd drive and I'd start talking about other sales and things in the area that they didn't know, that they could possibly never know. And because of that nuance in the market, and then I'd show them the property, and then I'd drop them off and say goodbye. And then a listing would come up down the street 2 weeks later, and I'd send it to him. I'd say, call the agent. This came up. This is da 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 da. The woman, called me and said, call them, make an appointment, take me across. So I could see you're a value add, and that's when your career will really take off.
We've got 10 minutes left with these legends, so I want to add some value. I want to know, just in maybe like 2 sentences or less, what tips would you provide to land more listings? To get more listings, tips. George, we could skip you. We go with Georgie. Yeah.
Learn how to ask great questions. Learn how to ask great questions, learn how to go deep and create those relationships and be tenacious with talking to more people.
That's great. Julian.
I mean, I think everyone knows the saying, buyers are liars and listings to live. You're constantly going after listings anyway. You're still working with buyers. I'd say my business is 50-50 because I actually like working with buyers as well. I think I've got people that cold call for me, and that was the next step where they would just, when I started cold calling, I had $10 million, yeah, I'm Julian Johnston, can I meet you? No. I had someone call now, and they said, I work with Julian Johnston, can he meet you? And yeah, they get, so I delegate, and I get more meetings, and I get more listings that way.
That's cool. Power calling, delegation, relationships. Nancy.
Now, if I would do this, but I don't, you join clubs, you know, what's your hobby? You like to vote? Join. Do something. It's working. Okay. You know, what interests you? What do you like? Do you like orchids? Do you like horses? What do you like? So put yourself in an element of something that actually interests you. Then you meet people. You're not pitching yourself as, I'm a realtor and use me. You have to have something in common with that. And then throughout the conversation, it casually comes up that you're a realtor. Nobody wants to be hammered down the throat, use me, because I'm going to run for the door. So you want to put yourself in a position that you have that opportunity to let them know casually that you are. And if you can help them in any way, like, you know, let's say they're talking and you might give them a friendly piece of advice. Now, you're not doing it to get the job, guys. People can smell bullshit. You're doing it to help them. And it'll come back for you in spades. And if you don't know where to meet the people, then you do something that you actually like. So you can enjoy yourself at the same time. You might meet a guy or a girl, both, who cares? You know, and you have something to talk about, and you make it part of your routine. I think that's very important. I think that everybody that knows you should know she's a realtor. You know what I mean? But I'm not, if I want a listing, let's say they're talking about it, and I say, hey, if you ever need me, don't hesitate to call. You know, no obligation, whatever. And I mean that. And I tell people, I'm not a stalker. Because a lot of people, you give them out your number. Like they say they call me up and they want just, you know they're not calling to hire me. They want information from me. They want to, you know, here, can you help me? But they don't want to use me. And I'll tell them, hey, I'm not a stalker. So if you need me again, you're going to have to call me. It doesn't mean that I don't want to work with you, but I hate it when people call me at 6 o'clock at night. You give them your number, you can't ditch them. People laugh, they love it, they feel comfortable. The next thing you know, they're on the phone with you. So I think it's very important to to let everybody know who you are without it shoved down the throat. Right? Mm-hmm. Right? Works for me.
Right, and Gus, you know, Gus just goes and has pastelitos and croquetas and coffee.
I'll tell you, when I started in this business in 1987, I made a point being analytical. I came from a background of chemistry and biology from University of Miami. I learned everything about the market that I worked in, which was Little Havana apartment buildings. And I could meet with an owner of a building and know more about his building than he did. And because I was in my 20s and you had to make an impression. And I've carried that through. I try to know more Look, if you know more than the person you're negotiating with or talking to, you're in an advantage. Now, I did have to learn to shut up and not tell them that I knew more and like, no, you're wrong, you don't know what you're saying. Now I just let them go and I'm like, oh, they don't know what they're saying. I got this. It's done. So having that knowledge is what allowed me back then to get listings and control a whole big section of Little Havana. And once I got tired of apartments, I took that over into industrial, which is much easier than apartments.
You're right, you're right. A lot of these realtors have no idea what you're talking about. Absolutely not. And I get a lot of customers based on the other realtor coming, I'm showing the property. Now, I don't want your customer. You know what I mean? I don't want them. But you hear from them like 2 to 3 months later, I never forgot you. I learned more from you in 5 minutes than I had in months with somebody else. So, right on. You got it. If you know your market, you control. You're right. That's it. Smartest person in the room.
So let's have some fun. And I want to know if you could do anything else besides real estate, what would it be? Gus, what would it be?
Oh, I would have a vineyard in Italy, somewhere in around Montachino, and be making some really, really good Brunello, drinking every day, eating and cooking, 100%.
Georgie?
I don't know how fun it is. I really do have a passion for teaching. I mean, I'm an artist. I have a lot of interests, but if I had it to do, I would be teaching. I have a passion for helping people find their mission and their drive and finding a meaningful life. So that's what I would do if I wasn't selling it. That's what I do every day anyway. But if I wasn't selling real estate, that'd be it.
So you are doing what you love to do. That's beautiful. So you would teach real estate. You're living the dream. I love it. Julian.
Probably a cowboy. No. No, I did grow up partly for a long time on my cousin's farm. We were dairy farmers in South Australia. And I think that I do have a property now, and 300 acres up in Georgia, another one's in the south of France. And just being out and working with the land, working with horses, working with animals, getting out of the city. It's just, I just want the country fresh air. I'd be working with the land.
Also living the dream. I love it. And he's about to live the dream soon. What about you, Nancy?
Well, it'd be nice if somebody else paid the bills once in the world. You know, I'm the Bank of Nan, you know, that would be the thrill. I've never really thought about doing anything else. Sales is sales, it's just a different product. And if you're good at it and you're a natural, you're gonna stay in some form of sales, you know.
All right, and then we've got just one more minute each. I want your golden nugget. Your golden nugget can be a tool, it can be a catchphrase, it could be a book, it could be a quote, just something that's super important that resonates with you. Nancy, we'll start with you. Golden nugget. Give us gold.
Listen, I trademarked me, let me be honest. You know, I mean, I work for the Kai's company, wouldn't work anywhere else, but it's all about me. I trademarked an alligator with red party shoes and red lips. You have to remember, this is about your lifestyle too. You know, and I see that everybody always promotes their company. Promote yourself. Promote yourself. Do you know I can go anywhere? I can sell my trademark. Not a lot of people can say that in real estate. I branded myself, so I think that would be my golden nugget. Don't never not forget who you're with, because that's your bread and butter. They're on equal peel, but don't forget yourself as well. I'm like, I hate to use the word. I have umbrellas with my logo, not my name, but my logo. I've got folders, I've got pens, I've got hats, I've got purses, I've got this. Again, and I give this shit away, it's everywhere. I love going down the road and seeing somebody with the alligator with the red party shoes. They said, why don't you put your name on it? Because I don't want to, I'm Target. I mean, I'm gonna dream big, right? Because again, if it's got your name all over it, who's gonna use it, right? So that's my golden nugget. You're number one in this game. You look out for you. Be loyal, be honest. Oh my God, and pay your people well. You know, don't hop around. Not one company's not gonna be better than the next company. it's you. And wherever you are, it's just treat you the way you would treat somebody else, and then you are going to be rocking and rolling in dough. Because it's all about the money, let's be honest, we're all here for the buck. I mean, I'm not here to have Coke, you know? Like,
I mean, definitely branding. I mean, if you look at my branding, it's consistent luxury throughout the year. But if you look at my branding, you'll see once a year I'll do a branding campaign. And I think the statistic is when someone picks up a direct mail flyer, you have 2.5 seconds and it gets dropped. And so I'll do an ad campaign where on the front you pick it up and it's not a real estate ad. And then you flip it over, it's me and a few properties. I just recently did a Joker campaign, the Joker film campaign. I tend to stick to movies because I'm a movie buff. And because the baby boomers are my target market, I did a Goodfellas ad and something else, and I did a James Bond. And, you know, consistently, you don't always see the results right away, but I went to a listing appointment a year and a half later, and I was sitting at the table with the parents, and the daughter was looking out at the corner, and she came over, this 21-year-old girl, she sat down, she goes, "Dad, that's James Bond." It was from one of the ads that I'd done 2 years ago, and it resonated that I sent it out for a month, but it does stick. So you keep branding yourself and your face. Don't forget, on your ads, on your business card, people remember your face. And when you meet someone, you go to a room and meet 50 people, and the next day you're looking at the cards, you won't know whose name is what. So just remember, always brand you.
wait, I couldn't do my face because I would have picked the best picture of me and when I was nice and thin instead of 200 plus mama. So I had to go with the alligator. Because have you ever looked at somebody's card and you say, huh? And you're looking at the lady come up with the guy coming the wrong way.
They have filters now, technology.
You can't control yourself. You know you're going to pick the good one, you know? So that's why I went with something a little different. It worked for me. And it was funny because it had the opposite effect. I thought when I did it, I thought that if you know, people sell houses because it's not always a good thing. They're getting divorced, they're relocating, you know, whatever. And I thought, well, they have a right to meet with a realtor without everybody knowing it's a realtor. Well, that had the opposite effect. Come on, man, you the gator, you the crocodile. Oh, and you know what's funny? I actually love it.
I think the nugget too is also just watch evolving trends in the industry. I worked for Sotheby's and Fortune for 7-8 years. The market crashed in 08. Didn't really matter who you were with. I had my own company for about 5 or 6 years, and then when the companies went national, you just see what's changing in the industry. Like Zillow leads used to be good, now they're not good at all. And then things that are changing in the industry, if you're in a certain area where you are with a company that may have a competitive advantage, like, so when everyone went national, Compass, Douglas Elliman, I looked at the market and I said, you know what, Corcoran does $8 billion a year in sales. They have 4,000 agents. Hamptons, Manhattan, Palm Beach. They don't have an office in Miami Beach. I was calling the CEO for months, a year, open an office. And so when they did, I was first on board. I mean, they wanted me as well. I had $400 million in listings. But I was getting, I did $200 million in sales, in referrals in the first 2 years. So you can really work a network if it's important to the area you're in.
Georgie, take it home. Well, no, the chairman will, but give us your insight.
My word of advice to you is not to underestimate your potential, to be the very best that you can be every day, to continue to learn, and you will have the best business that you can possibly have, and you'll make the world a better place, and you'll make our industry a great industry.
Three nuggets. Work hard, educate yourselves, and network. We all know how to network. You have to educate yourself and you have to work hard. I don't know about branding. I don't brand. I don't have a brand. I just work hard. I still educate myself, and those that know me know I network. Thank you for having me up here, guys. I think that's it. We're on to the Millennials.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. Give them a round of applause.